This is just awesome. Ever since the Chinese spy balloon was shot down, and NORAD and Northcom have increased their search perimeters on objects that they're looking for in U.S. airspace, and several objects have been shot down. Ben Shapiro is now thinking that it's aliens. There's other people I've noticed that are claiming that aliens are being shot down. Uh, Matt Walsh was one of them. He posted something on Twitter about it, and it was just hilarious. Uh, it's yeah, they're UFOs, as in the sense that they're unidentified flying objects, but they're not UFOs in the sense that they're aliens.
Well, we'll get to all the Super Bowl stuff in just a little bit here. Essentially, over the weekend, the aliens tried to invade, saw the Super Bowl halftime show, went, what the F, and immediately got the hell out of there on their spaceships as fast as humanly possible. But
Right, because these aliens don't understand like sports and theater and music and the such. Like they hold the same values as you, so seeing Rihanna in a red outfit just totally scared them. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But the big story over the course of the weekend is that apparently we are now just going happy hunting on a bunch of unidentified flying objects. There were 3 unidentified flying objects shot down within the course of days. The first was shot down over Alaska, apparently. According to CNN.com, President Biden told CNN the shoot down of a high altitude object hovering over Alaska on Friday was a success. Shortly after American national security officials disclosed that the commander-in-chief gave the U.S. military approval to take the action. The announcement, marking the second time American fighter jets have taken down an object flying over U.S. airspace in a little less than a week, comes after the administration was subjected to a slew of questions about the timing of Joe Biden's decision to shoot down that suspected Chinese spy balloon that was floating all over the continental United States. This time, the president basically said, "Get over there," and they shot it down.
Well, with the Chinese spy balloon, the it was jammed so that it wasn't able to pick up anything, and they waited until it was over a location that they could shoot it down and still collect it so that they can analyze it. Yeah, I had questions about why they didn't shoot it down earlier, but yeah, that it makes sense. If they shoot it down over land, it's likely to, crash into something and uh, break up, and then, it's harder to analyze and see what they were trying to do.
That's a direct quote from the president. After the object was first detected on Thursday, F-35s were scrambled to investigate, according to a U.S. official. The object, according to National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. Apparently, along with efforts by F-35s on Thursday to monitor the thing, fighter aircraft were then engaged with the object on Friday morning, and that yielded limited information. They found out the thing was not manned, and then they immediately shot it down. Joe Biden, of course, declared this an absolute success. Here we go.
I mean, yeah, it was successfully shot down. How can you be mad about that? It seems like some Republicans are mad that Joe Biden didn't shoot down the spy balloon fast enough, but now they're mad that Joe Biden is shooting down all these other objects too fast.
The Pentagon and NORAD are refusing to say. Now, President Biden was asked about this latest operation. He only gave a one-word answer.
Do you have anything to say about the object shot down over Alaska, Mr. President?
Success. He was wearing his aviator sunglasses, so presumably he personally went up there, Tom Cruise style, Top Gun, and shot it down. Or
No, he didn't even say that. Nobody said that. So, what's the point in like trying to make that claim? It's obvious that somebody else went up there and shot it down. He's saying that it was successful, that the object was shot down.
Alternatively, it was just a floating Chinese spy balloon. Again, according to CNN, a U.S. official noted there was not a serious concern about collateral damage to people or property on the ground when the decision to shoot it down was made. This was one of the big questions. As you'll recall, when it came to the first Chinese spy balloon, which went over the entire United States, the supposed concern was if we shoot it down, it might hit a school. It might kill a couple of kids. And apparently, after Joe Biden received some bad press coverage, this time there was an alert of a Chinese spy balloon. He's like, well, screw the kids. Blah, blah.
Well, no, this happened over in Alaska. The second object to be shot down happened over in Alaska, and due to the remoteness of Alaska, there's a significantly decreased chance of anybody getting hit by it. So he's trying to create some kind of weird outrage.
And they shot it down. Apparently, U.S. Northern Command and NORAD wanted to shoot down the object during the daytime because the brief hours of sunlight in the far north made it easier to spot for a fast-moving jet trying to find and follow a slow-moving object. The object apparently did not have any surveillance equipment, which would make it both smaller and less sophisticated than the Chinese balloon that was shot down last weekend. Military officials say this was not, in fact, us shooting down our own materiel. This was not an American-made object. Representative Jim Himes, Democrat of Connecticut, he says, we probably took it down because of, the spy balloon last week. Well, saying the quiet part out loud here, which is Joe Biden got embarrassed over the Chinese spy balloon, so now we're just shooting down anything in sight, apparently.
Do you know anything about what was shot down today or why two things were shot down in such a short span?
My best guess is that for the first time, because of the emergence of this balloon, a lot of eyes are trained.
The first one, the Chinese
the first one. So I think this is probably a case of now we're looking really hard. And you may remember when we did the big hearings around what people call UFOs, what we're supposed to call unidentified aerial phenomenon. It turns out there's an immense amount of junk floating around up there. There's weather balloons. There's private companies that put things up to try to provide internet service. So my best speculative guess right now is that it was probably something like that. And they just said, given what we just all went through for a week, better to just take this thing down.
I don't know. That's pretty reasonable. Beforehand, there wasn't much worry about spy balloons coming into the United States, except maybe there should have been during Trump's administration, but Trump did hide all that. But now with China trying to actively spy on us with balloons, United States wants to be a little bit more cautious on the unknown objects flying around.
Okay, and the head of the spokesperson for the Pentagon, John Kirby, he says this particular object was not manned, which it would have been a shock if it had been manned, because presumably we'd be at war with somebody if we were shooting down manned space objects or manned aerospace objects. Here we go.
Given how little was known about this object at the time that our forces shot it down, is it safe to say that when the president ordered that it be shot down, he did not know whether it was a manned or unmanned object?
We were able to get some fighter aircraft up and around it before the order to shoot it down, and the pilot's assessment was that this was not manned.
Okay, so that was...
Okay, yeah, it's not a manned object. It's probably with some other type of balloon apparatus.
Object number one that was shot down over the weekend. Object number two that was shot down over the weekend was a cylindrical object that was shot down over Canada. So apparently there are a lot of these objects, and we're just shooting down a lot of them right now. According to the New York Times, an American fighter jet acting on the orders of President Biden and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. This is the first time Justin Trudeau has ever gotten to take credit for anything military related. He gets to pretend that he's a big, strong fellow, Justin Trudeau, handsome Bernie Sanders up there in Canada. Apparently, Canadian-American officials said that they ordered the takedown of another object over Canada. Trudeau said, I ordered the takedown of an unidentified object that violated Canadian airspace. He actually put out a tweet to this effect, championing his own strong defense for shooting down another unidentified object. Quote, I ordered the takedown of...
Wow, they're so mad about these objects being shot down when previously they were mad about objects not being shot down. They're just mad because Joe Biden's in the seat of the office, and that's all.
Unidentified object that violated Canadian airspace. NORAD command shot down the object over the Yukon. Canadian and U.S. aircraft were scrambled. Well, now he's Scottish. And a U.S. F-22 successfully fired at the object. Well, very, very exciting stuff. As with the object that Biden ordered shot down near Alaska on Friday. Officials said they really didn't know what they had blasted out of the sky over Yukon, which is, of course, great strategy. So the thing about the Chinese spy balloon is we knew exactly what it was, and we still didn't shoot it down. Here, we're like, we don't know what it is, but, it's kind of embarrassing to Joe Biden that all these objects are floating around up there, so we better shoot all of them down. The White House said in a statement on Saturday that Biden and Trudeau had, quote, discussed the importance of recovering the object in order to determine more details on its purpose or origin. Late Saturday, the Federal Aviation Administration briefly closed also an area near Montana to air traffic. So apparently it suddenly got very crowded in the skies, and this is leading to some speculation. Could the invasion be imminent? Could the aliens be here?
No, Ben, it's not aliens. There's no invasion. What? Is like the right wing talking heads trying to prime their audience about a UFO alien invasion? Because it's not happening whatsoever.
Talk about that and how you protect yourself from the aliens. One thing they want is your information. No question. I mean, so does the government. So does big tech. They all want your data. But this is why you need ExpressVPN to protect.
Nope.
Was Justin Trudeau involved in the decision making? And she is legitimately the worst press secretary in American history. She is truly awful at this.
Why is the American military shooting something out of the sky over Canada?
Because it's part of NORAD. The NORAD is part of it's a what you call a coalition, a consortium,
a pact of nations.
A pact,
okay.
Exactly. And so that's why we were able to do that. Again, we didn't do it on our own. We did it clearly in step with Canada.
With Canada, guys.
Yeah, she says Canada, but yeah, Justin, the Canadian Prime Minister and United States President, they acted in conjunction together to shoot down the one in the Yukon. If Ben is mad about that, it's a dumb hill to die on.
Guys, well, so long as we are on board with Canada, we in Canada will take out the alien invasion. Apparently, there was then a fourth flying object that was shot down on Sunday afternoon. This one was at 20,000 feet above Lake Huron, according to the Pentagon, according to the Wall Street Journal. An F-16 fighter jet shot down the object on the orders of President Biden at 2:42 p.m. using the same kind of missile used in the previous three shoot-downs, an AIM-9X Sidewinder. The U.S. was not tracking other objects as of Saturday night, said Air Force General Glenn Van Herk, the commander of U.S. Northern Command and the North American Aerospace Defense Command. U.S. Coast Guard is searching for the object that was shot down over Michigan. It appeared to land in Canadian waters, as the White House press secretary might say. Pentagon officials said that none of these appeared to pose a military threat, but that officials could not rule out additional takedowns of unidentified objects in American airspace. And of course, there was apparently an object that nobody could then find, which shut down Montana airspace over the weekend as well. The Northern American Aerospace Defense Command put out a statement saying NORAD detected a radar anomaly and sent fighter aircraft to investigate. The aircraft did not identify any object to correlate to the radar hits. NORAD will continue to monitor the situation. The one that was shot down over Lake Huron apparently was octagonal in shape. Jim Himes, again, he's the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee for the Democrats. He says that the last two objects probably are not Chinese, actually, which raises questions as to exactly what they are.
Yeah, being that they're different shapes, they may be from different nations. Quite possibly just space debris that was in some kind of orbital decay or something, maybe, or something launched by private companies. We really won't be able to know until the objects are recovered and analyzed. It's definitely not an alien invasion like Ben thinks it is.
If we find out these two objects are also of Chinese government origin, what does that say about our relationship right now?
Well, I'd first of all, I'd be surprised by that. I'm going to be careful because I don't know what the second and third objects were, but I'd be surprised by that. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the Chinese are probably pretty embarrassed that they let a surveillance platform, the first one, go over the United States. It became a, cause celeb around the world. We now own it. That's not a comfortable thing for the Chinese. And of course, we canceled the trip of the Secretary of State. So my guess is that the other two objects are not Chinese, that China is doing everything they can right now to keep as low a profile as possible.
So, He says that maybe they're not Chinese, maybe they are Chinese. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, he says, well, they probably are Chinese. I mean, probably these are Chinese spy balloons again.
I mean, it's possible that they are, but until it's recovered and analyzed, we don't know. The only reason we could tell about the Chinese spy balloon because it actually had like equipment that could be, you know, monitored and stuff from the ground location, and these other objects, we just don't know yet.
Question over the Chinese spy planes and other aerial objects. 3 incidents in a week. President Biden took some heat from your Democratic colleagues for not shooting down the spy balloon sooner. What can you tell us about these last 2 incidents, Friday and Saturday night? And are you confident in the overall administration response?
You can be sure that if any American interests or people are at risk, they'll take appropriate action. Until they get that comprehensive analysis, however, we have to look at each balloon individually.
Were these
and see
balloons
what
Friday
this
and
does.
Saturday night?
They believe they were, yes, but much smaller than the first one.
Okay, meanwhile, the New York Times has an entire report on exactly what the hell is going on here, asking whether this is indeed the imminent alien invasion. Quote, if the truth is out there, it certainly is not apparent yet. Pentagon and intelligence officials are trying to make sense of 3 unidentified flying objects over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan that U.S. fighter jets shot down with missiles on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The latest turn in the aerial show taking place in the skies above North America comes after a helter-skelter weekend involving what at times seemed like an invasion of unidentified flying objects. And of course, this raised the question of whether the aliens were in fact here. General Glenn Van Herk, mentioned as head of NORAD before, he was asked about this. He said, well, we can't rule anything out. Maybe it is an alien invasion. Who knows? No one knows. We can't rule it out.
This is for General Van Herk. Because you still haven't been able to tell us what these things are that we are shooting out of the sky, that raises the question, have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials? And if so, why? Because that is what everyone is asking us right now.
Thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with the attempt to identify it.
This is exciting. So
it still doesn't make it alien. The guy just doesn't want to rule it out because I'm just, I guess, keeping an open mind. But it's obviously not aliens. I mean, like, what? Does he really think that like aliens came here in a highly advanced spaceship that can travel thousands of light years across space just to be blown up in some backwaters planet with some kind of chemical bomb? Like, no, that's not going to happen. And they're not going to be in some kind of car-sized balloon travel around the planet. They would be in some kind of spaceship or maybe a small shuttlecraft, one with propulsion systems and stuff. Not a balloon. It's definitely not an alien invasion.
So, this is exciting stuff. Maybe the aliens are here after all, or maybe they're just adjusting over at NORAD all of their defense mechanisms, because it turns out that after Joe Biden gets embarrassed, then all of a sudden you're going to up the ante and you're going to shoot everything out of the sky. So it doesn't appear that Joe Biden is a weakling, because Joe Biden, as it turns out, is in fact a weakling.
No, shooting down the Chinese spy balloon didn't make Joe Biden look like a weakling or waiting to shoot it down. And yes, NORAD and Northcom have expanded their search parameters, and now they're going to be shooting down more objects just in case, yes, they are spy balloons and stuff, because we want to keep our airspace free of spying technology from other nations. You would assume people on the right would be like happy about that, but no, because Biden is doing it. They're mad about it.
According to the New York Times, after the transit of the spy balloon this month, NORAD adjusted its radar system to make it more sensitive. As a result, the number of objects it detected increased sharply. In other words, NORAD is picking up more incursions because it's now looking for them, spurred on by the heightened awareness caused by the furor over the spy balloon, which floated over the continental United States for a week before an F-22 shot it down on February 4th. Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Security and Hemispheric Affairs Melissa Dalton said, quote, "We have been more closely scrutinizing our airspace at these altitudes, including enhancing our radar, which may at least partly explain the increase in objects we've detected over the past week." By the way,
Yeah, okay, yeah. It'd be like, somebody, like tries to, break into your house, or, you find somebody spying on you, you're going to be slightly more cautious of, items and stuff around you, because, maybe somebody's spying on you or whatever, or trying to break into your house, so you're going to become more cautious and set up, like, security cameras and stuff, increase your search parameters on, what's around you. It's pretty reasonable, A nation, we find out a nation sends in a balloon to spy on the United States. So what does NORAD and NORTHCOM do? They decide to increase what they look for. Beforehand, we didn't have that worry, so the search wasn't as wide.
this means it's kind of miraculous that we haven't had a plane hit one of these things, no? I mean, if we literally were not looking for them, and now we just kind of fine-tuned the radar a little bit, what have we been doing for the past several years?
Looking for more prominent threats. I mean, yeah, if there was like some kind of random plane coming through, NORAD or NORTHCOM would easily be able to detect that. Now we're detecting smaller objects. Before, we were looking for larger objects.
Why exactly were we not looking for these things for years on end? And if they're not dangerous at all, why are we looking for them right now? And there are a few different explanations that have been offered here. UFOs are one. We'll get to that in just one moment. First, simple fact of the matter, a lot of companies that you patronize don't actually like you very much. You saw many of them at the Super Bowl. These are companies that take your money and then they use it to make woke propaganda, woke wireless trucks.
Yep, let's
stop
skip
service team
this.
percent smarter redirect enter
Care about
in the recent
your...
the all of UFOs apparently according to NPR coverage.
Okay,
let's go to puretalk.com.
Okay, there we go.
In the recent past of UFOs, apparently according to NPR, this is just a couple of weeks ago, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has received 366 reports of unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, which is basically UFOs, since it was formed last summer. That total,
which can be anything. Just because it's unidentified doesn't mean it's aliens. It just means the person who saw the object in the air could not identify the object. So that means it can be anything, you know. You know, maybe a bird is flying through the sky and somebody's like, oh, look, what is that? At the moment, that can be considered a UFO. Is that an alien bird doing an alien invasion? No.
reflected 247 new UFO reports and another 119 that occurred before March 2021, but had not been included in an earlier preliminary report. They've confirmed a huge number of what exactly these aerial objects are, and a huge number of them were found to be balloons. According to NPR, the bulk of those reports were attributed to balloons or balloon-like entities. Another 26 were found to be various types of drones, and 6 were attributed to clutter. That would be plastic bags, weather phenomena, and birds.
Yeah, people can't identify something. They point it out, they're like, oh, look, what is this? I don't know what it is. People claim it's a UFO, but boom, it's not a UFO. Yeah, and with like the rise of drone technology, it's gonna be it's not gonna be surprising when more and more of these UFOs just come out to be people playing with drones.
No aliens have been identified as of yet. And whenever we hear UFOs, everybody immediately jumps to X-Files. It's the aliens. But the reality is, what?
Okay, what about you? Constantly saying that, oh, is this an alien invasion? Or the aliens invading? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you seem to believe it as well.
What is the most likely thing that is going on here? The most likely thing that is going on here is that we are now, because the president is sensitive to being labeled a coward, shooting down everything. What's hilarious is the Chinese, who are now attempting to pretend that the alien invasion is imminent also, so that they can shoot down American spy equipment. The Global Times, which is a Chinese-controlled outlet, tweeted out over the weekend, quote, Local maritime authorities in East China's Shandong province announced on Sunday they had spotted an unidentified flying object in waters near the coastal city of Rizhao in the province and were preparing to shoot it down, reminding fishermen to be safe via messages. Yeah.
Okay, just because I don't understand why it keeps acting like it's an alien invasion just because it's an unidentified object. Like, he, like, on one hand, like, doesn't believe it's an alien invasion, but constantly talks like it's some kind of alien invasion.
Yeah, that's probably it. Probably it's a UFO. It's not you guys just trying to save face while all of your stuff is getting shot down. Now listen, should we be shooting down all this? Sure. We should shoot down any piece of Chinese material that enters over American airspace. Why would we not do that? And it is very convenient for members of both governments to blame UFOs or to leave it vague out there so that it doesn't raise tensions.
It's being left vague at the moment because nobody knows what they are at the moment. I mean, there's a like a special council that's being created to have these objects analyzed once they're recovered. Like the one in the Yukon and Alaska are a little bit harder to recover since it's during the wintertime in the snow. They're looking for the one in Lake Huron, just waiting for the waters to not be as choppy, and then they'll retrieve that. And then once we have these items analyzed, Ben Shapiro will finally realize it's not aliens.
It's also possible that some of the stuff that's being shot down is more sophisticated Chinese equipment than the American officials actually wish to acknowledge. It's possible that the Chinese have gotten further developmentally than American officials want to be made public. Or maybe these Chinese vehicles are really unsophisticated and the Americans know that and they don't want to let the Chinese know that they know that. So instead they're trying to cover up for it. However, unlike my colleague Matt Walsh, who's very invested in this is the alien invasion theory, I'm very not invested in this is the alien invasion theory, mainly because I feel like if the aliens came here, they wouldn't be floating octagonal balloons that we could shoot down over Lake Huron with like a single flight of an F-22.
Okay, so he doesn't believe it's an alien invasion? Who knows? Probably gonna do a video on Matt Walsh and his alien invasion theory. His tweets are funny and stuff, and if I can find some videos, I'll definitely be talking about that.